for a second follow-up.
Hi, this is Beth at Cabrini, and I don't know if this was addressed already, but we were curious as to what exactly Catholic Relief Services is going to do to implement possibly psychologically therapeutic programs for the children, such as the child soldiers or the child sex slaves. So we were just wondering what's going to be done for them to reverse like the brainwashing or the trauma that they've witnessed.
Thank you very much, Beth. I think Catholic Relief Services is doing a lot. If you saw the video from Sister, I'm sure your sister is not able to do what she's doing if not for the support from Catholic Relief Services. I think what needs to be done is that we in the US here, we have to also try to kind of contribute to support them to make resources available so that this can be done back in Africa. I remember I was a beneficiary of this. I ran the Peace Project in Ghana, and it was solely funded by CRS. And that's why here I'm now in St. Charles in Arlington. Anytime I see a fundraising program for CRS, I make it a personal point. I take it on myself personally to make a special appeal. So that is one aspect of it. I think that first and foremost, a lot is being done to create a safe environment where these children can come together and try to regain their humanity. But you have raised a very important point. I don't know how much expertise would be available in country itself to do psychological counseling, because if you listen to the story Sister was narrating, many of these children are severely traumatized. My own brother was in Liberia during the war, and when he came back, I just looked at him and I was like, man, you are traumatized. And he interpreted it as that he was mad. But you can imagine these young kids, some of them have been drugged, they've gone through horrific scenes and done terrible things. Now, how do we bring them back? This will need, first of all, the safe space, and I think that is where CRS is making a great contribution by creating centers and facilities where these children can at least have some food to eat and something to wear and live a semblance of a normal life. But then they will now need a second level, which is an expert input to help them get over their trauma. Now, that I don't know how much human expertise we have in country. For instance, in Northern Ghana, in our work, it's an aspect that was woefully missing. We just simply did not have the capacity to address the trauma of these victims. But for many of these people, they are just happy first and foremost to be able to eat something decent, to find a good place to sleep, and to clothe themselves. And I think that is a good start.
I'd also like to add, if that's okay. I actually had the privilege of visiting some of our programming in northern Uganda about 2 years ago, and was really just overwhelmed by the situation from which the children were fleeing from, but also extremely impressed by the work of our partners and the work of Sister Pauline. I got to see her in action with many of the returning students, and able to see the use of the traditional reunification customs. There was an evening where we had a whole series of dances that the children put on that were formerly involved with the LRA in some capacity. It was extremely moving. So I think the long-term work that they're doing with those young people is making a difference and really important. And then also seeing the night commuter sort of spaces that were made available, that fortunately now actually they're not being forced to go to those locations as much anymore, but they were CRS supported. There were some CRS supported night commuter locations in the past, but now that's not as much needed to be the case, fortunately. But there are still the displacement camps and the work that needs to be done there for the families that, because of the violence, have moved to the different camps there. So there is a lot of work going on there, but of course there needs to be continued efforts. But fortunately, the abduction of the children seems to have somewhat decreased from what my understanding, from what I've been told. It seems